Between deciding to move to Austria and holding your residence card in your hand, there's a process. And I know government process sounds intimidating, but it's genuinely doable once you understand the order things happen in. In my last video, we covered the 5 requirements, what you need. Today, it's the how. Exactly what happens when you apply step-by-step current for 2026. I'll use Vienna and the student permit as the concrete example, but the flow is broadly the same across permit types. I'll flag where it isn't. Quick framing. Today is about the first application, the Erstantrag in German. That's the big one, the one with the most moving parts. Good news for later, renewals are usually lighter. Once you're in the system, extending your permit is generally less burdensome than getting that very first one. So if this feels like a lot, it's front-loaded. The hardest step is the first. Here's the single most misunderstood point, and it's worth getting right. For a first application, the default is you apply from abroad at the Austrian embassy or consulate in the country where you live, and you wait there while it's processed. But if you're already lawfully in Austria, say you entered visa-free and you're still within your legal stay, or you hold another EU state's residence title, you may be allowed to apply from inside Austria instead. Why does that matter? Here's the practical difference most people miss. When you apply at the embassy or consulate, the embassy essentially receives the application and forwards it to the authority in Austria. The immigration office, which is who actually decides. The embassy is the mailbox, not the decision maker. When you're eligible to apply in Austria, you're filing your papers directly with the people who decide. In Vienna, for instance, that's MA35. Fewer handoffs and you're dealing straight with the deciding office. That can be an advantage. One honest caveat, applying from inside Austria only works if you're there lawfully and stay lawful. And if the decision can't be made before your visa-free time runs out, you may have to leave and wait abroad for the result. So this isn't a loophole, it's a route with conditions. Remember this rule of thumb, if you can legitimately apply in Austria, there's often an advantage in filing directly with the deciders. If not, you apply at the embassy and that's completely normal. Okay. The actual sequence, Vienna, MA35 as our example. Step 1, you would book an appointment. You apply in person. This is not an upload and forget process. In Vienna, you book your slot online with MA35. And here's the real world tip. Appointments can be scarce, so look early. Booking the appointment is often the slowest part of the whole thing. Start there, not last. Step 2, show up in person with your complete file. Bring everything in the original. If a document isn't in German or English, you need a certified translation from a court-certified translator. And many foreign documents need an apostille or diplomatic authentication to prove they're genuine. For the US viewers among you, this is where your FBI clearance may come in. We covered the documents themselves in the requirements video. I will link it again. So here, just remember originals, translated, authenticated, okay? Step 3, the biometrics. At the appointment, they will take your fingerprints. It's a standard part of issuing the card, so don't get scared. Step 4, you wait for the decision. The authority checks whether you meet the requirements. If yes, you get invited to pick up your permit. It's a physical card handed over in person. If not, you receive a formal negative decision. In German, it's called a Bescheid, which importantly, you can respond to and challenge. That's a moment to have someone in your corner. Step 5, if you applied from abroad through an embassy or a consulate that forwarded your application to Austria and you're approved, you're notified, you may get a visa specifically to travel to Austria and collect a card here. And once you arrive, you report to the immigration office to pick up your card that's already waiting for you. A few things that trip people up in practice, the boring stuff that decides whether this is smooth or painful. Again, appointments. Book as early as you can, and if you can't make your slot, cancel it so you don't lose your place in line. Supplements. If they ask for extra documents, you must send them through the official channels, most notably the official email address in the accepted file formats. Emailing a caseworker's personal email address or sending a wonky download link maybe does not count as validly filed, so people sometimes lose weeks this way. For renewals only, a nice safety net. If you file your renewal on time, so not the first one, but the renewal, you will get a confirmation of submission and you can keep living and studying, for instance, in Austria, even while the old card is expired. On the first application, however, you don't have that cushion, which is exactly why the first application deserves extra care. Again, another caveat, because your situation may differ. 1, the permit type. I use the student residence permit as the example, but the process varies a little bit by permit. In particular, the route for financially independent people, those living here on their own means, works a bit differently, including how and when spots and steps line up. Don't assume the student residence flow maps one-to-one to every other residence permit type. Also be mindful of where you live. This was Vienna and ME35. If you're settling in a different Austrian province, a different authority handles you, and the appointment system and local practice can differ. So you could say it's the same law, but a different front door. So that's the shape of it. Figure out where you apply, abroad, or if you qualify directly in Austria, book early, show up in person with your originals and copies where necessary, give your fingerprints, and collect your card when you're approved. None of it is exotic. It just rewards doing things in the right order, at the right place, on time. The people who move through this calmly are the ones who mapped it before they started, and who had someone to call when a document or Bescheid didn't go to plan. If you want that, I'm a specialist in Austrian immigration law. I look at your permit type, your province, your timeline, and walk you through the entire process, including being there with you at the authority. Not a form, not a hotline, someone in your corner. And if you haven't done so, please watch the requirements video as well. I will link it again in the description. Let's get you that card. Do take care. Bye.